Good evening, everyone. I am your host, That Jaguar Guy, and today I'm going to be looking at one free agent on every single NFL team that the Jacksonville Jaguars should attempt to sign this season, or not, well, this offseason, really. Now, this doesn't mean that I think the Jaguars should go out and sign all 31 of these players. This means that I think they should, out of every free agent on this specific team, this is the one that I think the Jaguars should attempt to sign. And then I'm going to be ranking on whether I think the move would be good or not. I got a rating system here. I'm going to be rating each of these players by whether or not I think if the Jaguars sign them that it would be amazing, great, good, meh, or not ideal. I don't think any of these signings would be a bad signing, but I think that they would be not ideal. Like, yeah, I mean, you got him, but is that really the pick? Is that really the person you should be trying to sign right now? But hopefully it makes more sense as we get into the video. This might be a long one, so I'm going to go ahead and hop into things with the first team. So, Arizona Cardinals, I went with Byron Murphy Jr., cornerback. Only played 9 games this season, which is why I only gave him a great grade. So if the Jaguars were to sign Byron Murphy Jr., I'd say it was a great signing. In those 9 games, it looked like he was on pace for a career year. He had a defensive grade through 9 games as a 66.7. His run defense through us was very good, 73.6. His tackling left some to be desired, though, 56.8. QE pressures was 63.7, and his coverage was 63.9. Only had 595 snaps, though, compared to last year, where he had 967 snaps. But the only thing that really stayed consistent throughout his whole career is his coverage grading, 63.3 to a 64.3 to a 63.9. While his QB pressures has been up and down, his tackling has been mostly consistent. His run defense has been very inconsistent, and his overall defensive score has been meh. I'm saying this is PFF, by the way, if you don't know what Pro Football Focus is. I'll leave the link in the description. It is an amazing website. I bought the premium version because I love looking at these stats. Love looking at football stats. They're so much fun, so highly recommend it. Snaps by position. He played 130 snaps in the slot, which is really good because the Jaguars need someone who has experience going in the slot. And he's also very young, 25 years old. We could build around him for a long time if we really like him and the fit. His projected contract right now is 3 years, $26.25 million, with $16.25 million guaranteed, which is not a bad deal considering we just handed out 3 years, $30 million for an extension for Roy Robertson Harris. So that's not a bad contract at all. Cheap option for a quality slot corner, considering I believe that Shaquille Griffin should be out of this team within the next 4 weeks. Having that cornerback alongside Tyson Campbell, who could play in the slot while you got your big outside guy like Campbell, that's going to be interesting. I think that'd be a great fit, and that's why I gave him a great grade. Moving on now to the Atlanta Falcons. I went with CORNELL ARMSTRONG, which is probably don't even know who this guy is. He's the third string cornerback, or I think it's third string left cornerback for the Atlanta Falcons. Played 27 snaps in the slot, 307 snaps wide, so he's not the best slot corner. Most likely he'd be sitting behind Tyson Campbell, which he's purely there for depth reasons, in my opinion. It's going to be a very cheap option, but what really stood out to me for him is his tackling. Now, PFF gave him, in the 7 games that he played this season, which is a lot considering rookie season with Miami, played 84 snaps. 2019 played 52 snaps. Atlanta in 2022, he played 372, a big increase. So, I don't know if he got hurt or anything, who knows, but maybe he got hurt after week 9, or before week 9. Maybe he got hurt a little bit, I don't know. Maybe he just didn't give him playing time for a while. But his tackling was really, really good. He had an 81.8 grade for tackling and a 67.4 run defense grade. His coverage left some to be desired, but, I mean, for an very consistent tackler, which is really, really good in my opinion. Having that consistent tackler is always a plus. Defensive grades chart, he played really good against Tampa week 18. I think a lot of their players played really good against Tampa in week 18. It's mostly because they didn't play their starters, but yeah, I gave this a MAC grade because I don't think he'd impact the team as much as some other signings would, especially considering we just went with Byron Murphy earlier. I think CORNELL Armstrong would sit behind some players, maybe play occasionally, mostly a wide corner, so maybe if we bring in Byron Murphy, we can have our two outside corners being CORNELL and Tyson Campbell. I don't really know how corners work, so I'm going to give it a meh. I probably wouldn't be that excited for him, but I wouldn't be mad either. Moving on to the Baltimore Ravens, I went GENO Stone, the safety. Another pure depth player because our safety room is interesting. Plays mostly free safety, which our free safety depth chart is Andre Cisco and Daniel Thomas. That's it. So I went with GENO Stone here. Played a significant amount of different snaps this season. Played 450 compared to the 219 he played in 2021. Is very, very young. 23 years old. I mean, that is young as crap. Selected in round 7. That doesn't really matter, though, in my opinion. If he's good, he's a good player. What really stood out to me is his coverage. At a 673.7 coverage graded. And this is what I really liked, actually. He played 46 snaps in the slot corner position. He's also a pretty good kick returner, and he played a lot of special teams, so he can kind of do it all, really. I like that he has some experience in the slot, and he plays mostly free safety, which is fine. We need some more depth on the free safety position. I went with meh for GENO Stone simply because he's a pure depth player. For signing people for depth reasons, I'm going to acknowledge it's a big necessity, but I'm not going to be like, oh my god, he signed GENO Stone. Like, it's whatever. You signed GENO Stone for depth reasons. That's a good idea. Ike BOETTGER from the Buffalo Bills, he plays guard. I love this pick. Why do I love this pick? I'm glad you asked. Simply because of his 2021-2020 season. His pass blocking was really good in the 2021 season. Played 636 snaps. For reference, our current right guard, Brandon Sheriff, played about 1,085 snaps. So this guy could be rotational. Considering Brandon Sheriff is getting up in age, don't know how long he's going to be on the team. It might be smart to go ahead and get your right guard who's going to maybe fill in for Brandon once he's gone. And he's 28, which he's getting up there in age. By the time maybe Brandon leaves, he's going to be like maybe 30 or 29 to 30 maybe. So he's got maybe can get some more experience. He's got some good experience in Buffalo. Played a significant more snaps in 2021, and his numbers increased a little bit. 2020 was really one of his better seasons when it comes to run blocking. He kind of had a 180 in 2021. His run blocking decreased while his pass blocking increased. So, in 2022, he only played one game. Played a pretty good game, though. I mean, only played 6 snaps. Played 2 run blocking snaps, 4 pass blocking snaps. Could be rotational, could not be. He's a younger alternative to Brandon, but he has had some pretty good pass blocking seasons. Moving on to Juston Burris from the Carolina Panthers. I believe this is another safety. Yep, safety. Another interesting one. He plays mostly strong safety, so he's going to be another depth player, not going to be someone who's starting. The safety room is kind of interesting, in my opinion. It's not the best. Rayshon Jenkins, Andrew Gwingard, and Tyree Gilpacy, and Deontay Thompson. Those are our strong safeties. Rayshon's fine. I don't really know much about Andrew Wingard, so maybe bringing in someone like Juston Burris, who has some experience. Pretty good experience. He had less snaps this season than he has before. But in those couple games he played, didn't play all that bad. 2020 was his big season, where he got a lot more snaps. Didn't play the best. 2019 played pretty good. He's an older player, 29 years old. Could be someone purely for depth reasons. Might be the second string. Might be the third string. Carolina really didn't have many players that I saw interest in. I saw that BURRIS was getting up there in age safety. Maybe you can get him on a 1-year deal. Just have him there as a backup. Is Rayshawn getting cut? Is he not? If he's gotten cut by the time I'm releasing this video, then I don't know yet. I don't think he's going to get cut. I think he'll get restructured, but don't think he's going to get cut. So, just purely depth reasons. Chicago Bears, I went Dante Pettis. This was a pick some might be confused about. But Dante Pettis, if I could type Pettis right, I'm trying to look at the snaps he had this season. I can't find... I don't care about pass blocking. I care about receiving. There we go, receiving. Yeah, he was a very solid player for the Chicago Bears this season. Had an increase in snaps this season when it comes to receiving the ball. I can't find what I'm looking for. Oh my god. Where is it? Receiving depth? What does this do? Oh, okay. So he's more of a deep threat. I can see. Okay. So his 87.1 receiving deep. Oh, this is interesting. I've never looked at this for a receiver. Why is it so difficult? Okay. He got 523 offensive snaps just in total, maybe blocking or receiving, whatever that is, which is a very big increase from the other years he's played. I think he's a solid wide receiver 4. Looking at Chicago's depth chart, he was I believe it was third string, right? He was the 4th string wide receiver, right behind Equiminius St. Brown. Dante Pettis this season had 19 receptions for 245 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an average of 12.9 yards a carry. If we have him as a wide receiver 4 and he's catching 3 touchdowns, not a bad option in my opinion. Any way to help Trevor, in my opinion, is a good option. That's why I gave him the good grade. I realize I haven't been explaining the grades that much, but he gets a good grade simply because any way to increase Trevor's ability to throw touchdown passes or get the ball out is a good option. Plus, he's 27 years old. He's not the oldest of players, so he could sit there at the wide receiver 4 position and catch 3 touchdowns a year. Fine by me. So, yeah, Dante Pettis for the Chicago Bears. This is the good one. Jessie Bates III for the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, this is the blockbuster one. This is the one that would blow the internet. It probably would cost a good amount of money. It would cost a lot of money. He plays mostly free safety. So, honestly, Cisco, if I had the choice between Jessie Bates and Andre Cisco, I love Andre, but he's sitting behind Jessie Bates because Bates is incredible. Bates is a great player. His defensive grade this season was 76.8. His run defense was 84.8. Tackling 76.1. Coverage 72.9. He is a beast. 1,016 total snaps. He's crazy good. He played 89 snaps of slot corner though, so he knows how to play in the slot. Mostly played free safety. But what is there to say about Jessie Bates? He's one of the best safety, probably the best safety on the free agent market. I couldn't pick anyone else besides him for the Bengals, if I'm being honest. 4 interceptions, 67 total tackles. Had one of his best statistical seasons of all time. Would it be costly? Yes, that's why it's not an amazing pick. It is a great pick. It's a great signing if we do. Not amazing simply because we'd have to I don't know how we'd get, it might cost us a lot of players cutting to pick up Jessie Bates. I'm pretty sure, what's his name, Rayshawn Jenkins would be one of those cut to try and get him. So, only a great pick for me. We got the first not ideal one, which I'm going to explain what that means. We got PHARAOH Brown, tight end out of Cleveland. Now, why PHARAOH Brown? First of all, why tight end? Because Doug Peterson's really good with the whole no tight end, or two tight end system. So, I mean, if he's good with two tight ends, why don't we get a second tight end? He's not even the best tight end, in my opinion. There was, like, no one on the Browns roster that I really wanted, so I went with the tight end because all of our tight ends are leaving, or not leaving, but are on free agency. Ingram, Manhurts, Dan Arnold, all three of them are hitting free agency. Is it likely we sign all three? Probably not. So we need to bring in someone like PHARAOH Brown who could sit there at the tight end 3 option. Looking at the Browns depth chart, PHARAOH Brown, he is tight end number... Yeah, he's tight end number 4. I mean, he is the tight end 4, and I see him being a tight end 3 for us at best. With the Browns, he played 340 snaps on the Browns and his other team this season. And looking at his pass blocking, it wasn't all that bad. 59.9 grade. Didn't really pass block that much. Receiving wise, caught no touchdowns. Caught 117 yards this season. For a tight end 4, catching 117 yards isn't that bad in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, he wasn't the worst player. Just not ideal. If they pick up PHARAOH Brown, I'm just gonna be like, whatever. I mean, it's not the best option, but I'm not gonna be over the moon about it. He probably wouldn't cost that much money, which is the thing. And if he's okay at pass blocking, that's fine with me. We got the first amazing one, too. We got Donovan Wilson, safety. Now, I love this idea. Picking up Donovan Wilson. He's 28 years old, so he's... I mean, is he old? Not really. I mean, I think 28's still in his prime years. Had probably his best statistical season. Covered grade of 64.5, run defense grade of 72.9. I mean, he was a beast, man. He was a beast of a safety, and he's hitting free agency this year. Maybe maybe we pick him up. Played mostly free safety. He also played in the box. I don't know what playing in the box means. I guess playing in the box means he played strong safety. So, played mostly strong safety, and that's who potentially Rayshon Jenkins might be cut. He plays strong safety. If Rayshon's cut and we bring in Donovan Wilson, that is such an upgrade in my opinion. That is such an upgrade. I also played 99 snaps as slot corner, so he knows how to play in the slot. I cannot specify enough how much we need a slot corner, and if Donovan Wilson can play strong safety, play in the box, play slot corner, all 3 into one player, that's incredible. That's really, really good. His tackling's a little bit inconsistent looking at the PFF grades. Like, one day he'll go out 82.9 tackling grade. Then the next day, 30.1 tackling grade. I mean, I don't see him being any more than a safety 1 or a starting strong safety if we get him. Rayshon is amazing, but getting someone like Donovan, you always got to improve. That's my motto. You always got to improve, and Donovan Wilson is a huge improvement on the position. So, the idea, cut Rayshon, bring in Donovan, who knows? I think it'd be an amazing selection if we sign Donovan Wilson. His salary would be 2 years, $5.75 million, $7 million guaranteed. That's what it says on Pro Football Focus. That's a good deal. I mean, and I do think he's got the highest upside out of any safety, and I stand by that. Besides maybe Jesse Bates, but second safety. Actually, no, I disagree. No, I disagree with my own take, because I think there's another safety in this free agency video that has a higher upside. You got 5 sacks as a safety too, and 77 solo tackles. He's just a beast of a player. Out of everyone on the Cowboys, I'd love to get him on the squad. We got Quinn Bailey for the Broncos. Quinn Bailey. This one's not ideal at all. I don't think there's like a single player on the Broncos that I wanted to get. I don't know much about him. I just know he didn't play much during the season. Played 4 games. He was okay at pass block. He got an increase in snaps, but it's only his 3rd year. He's 27, and this is his 2nd year or 3rd year playing. I mean, he's an older guy, I guess. But yeah, I don't like this. There was no one on the Broncos who I wanted. So he plays guard. I mean, he'd probably just be a 3rd string guard. He'd sit behind Shatley and Ben. Maybe even Cole Van Lennon. Maybe he plays 4th string. Who knows? Not much you can really do here for the Broncos. Moving on to the Lions, we got Shane Zylstra. I actually do like this pick. I'll explain why. Let me search him up. Shane, not Zane. God. He plays tight end. I believe tight end 3 for the Lions. He was tight end 2 and he caught 4 touchdowns. I almost went with Shane and Brock Wright are the 2 Detroit Lions tight ends, and they're both free agents this year. So I went with this Zane simply because he's the tight end 2. I feel like they'd re-sign Brock besides Shane, since he's the tight end 2. But he wasn't the worst player this season. He caught 60 yards, 4 touchdowns off of 11 receptions. That's not horrible. Not horrible numbers at all. And if we can have a tight end 2 who's catching 4 touchdowns, that's a win in my book. So Doug Peterson's good with running multiple tight ends. Get someone like Shane, who's 26 years old, young upside, who can play tight end 3. Maybe get your tight end 2 in the draft, and you got a 3-way tight end trio who can catch maybe like 10 touchdowns, which is really good. We're on the Packers. Got an interesting one. What Adrian Amos for the Packers? Safety, another safety. I love going with safeties. I know that's just a position I think we need to improve in. So I'm gonna go with that. He's an older player, 29 years old. He's one of the better safeties in football, in my opinion. He had a sneaky good year. His tackling's, in my opinion, really good. 73.2 tackle grade this season, and his coverage leaves some to be desired. Looking at the snaps he played 140 snaps in the slot, 443 snaps as free safety, and 370 snaps in the box. He could play strong safety or free safety. I mean, I feel like he's a good option if Rayshawn is a cap casualty. His contract's looking like 2 years, $5.5 million a year, $6 million guaranteed. If we sign him on like a 2-year, 1-year deal, that's not a bad option in my opinion. He's a veteran who knows how to play the game, but the one problem, which is why he's not a great pick, is he might start to digress. And with Rayshawn possibly staying, I don't see the need for getting someone like Amos when we got other safeties in this class. I say class, not a draft class. This free agency group that is better, that it has more young upside than Adrian Amos. So, not a bad option for the Packers, though. Rasheem Green for the Texans. This one's tricky. This one's very tricky. Played mostly in the D-line. He played a lot of special teams, too. But played actually most of the games. Had 567 snaps this season. I mean, he's not a bad player. Not a bad player. I believe he had 5 sacks this season. Let me check. Let me look him up on ESPN.com. Yeah, he got 5 sacks. Maybe he could start, maybe not. Especially with Roy Robertson Harris not getting signed. It's looking more likely like he wouldn't start. Probably just be a solid backup behind him. And I don't think he would cost a lot of money. At 27 solo tackles, 5 sacks. Had about the same year he had this year as he did in 2021. So he's 25 years old too, so he's pretty young. Looking at the Houston Texans depth chart, Rasheem Green is left defensive end third stringer, so yeah, I don't really see him doing much when it comes to the Jaguars depth chart. Maybe he becomes a second string, maybe not. I mean, looking at our edge rushers, Fatukasi, Key, Robertson Harris, Dwayne Smoot. Dwayne Smoot and Arden Key are still question marks, so if they both leave, he'll definitely be the second string defensive end if it's signed. They both say fourth or third string, in my opinion. Depends on if he's better than Adam Godis or Jeremiah Ledbetter. But yeah, just a meh option. Like, I mean, meh. If he stays, he stays. If he gets signed, he gets signed. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Moving on to the Colts with Deion Jackson. This is probably one of the more controversial ones. I have two running backs on this list because I do think we need someone. I think most teams that are good have 1, 2 to 3 solid running backs in that backfield who can get the job done. Chiefs. Pacheco's really good. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is serviceable, and Jet McKinnon is serviceable. If we get someone like Travis Etienne, really good. We got JaMycal Hasty, serviceable. And then we get someone like Deion Jackson, 24 years old, good upside, pretty good player, had 236 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. As a backup, I mean, he would be a solid running back 3, even maybe running back 2 in that backfield. Because looking at the running backs right now, it's Travis Etienne, then Hasty, then Snoop Connor. Snoop Connor is actually solid. But I feel like if we get Deion in that running back list too, he could play a couple snaps, deliver. He's not a bad option. I gave him a good grade. If we sign him, I think it'd be a good option. I think he'd also be pretty cheap, considering it's his 3rd year and he hasn't really played that much. Moving on to the Chiefs, we got Carlos Dunlap. The Chiefs, God, this was hard. I mean, the Chiefs have just no free agents that I could see the Jaguars realistically going after. I don't even think they should go after Carlos Dunlap, if I'm being honest. I mean, he's not the worst player in the world. He's just 33 freaking years old as an edge rusher. And our edge rushing depth chart, I mean, look at the Chiefs' edge rushing depth chart. Where does he play? Where does he fit into this? Yeah, Carlos Dunlap is the 2nd string right defensive end. If we sign him, I think he'd be the 3rd stringer, if I'm being honest. I mean, considering Key and Smoot are still might be there. I don't like this at all, but I had to pick someone from the Chiefs, so I went with Carlos. I mean, I guess his tackling isn't bad. His run defense isn't bad. He's not a bad player. He's just someone who I think will also stay with the Chiefs because they're the Chiefs. I mean, they won the Super Bowl this season. They're probably the next dynasty, so I don't see him like leaving that anytime soon. Just not an ideal pick. I mean, he's an edge rusher, though, so if we do sign him, I'm going to have questions. But I don't think it'd be a bad signing. He's a veteran, he knows the game. Maybe can help some of the younger players around. You know. For the Las Vegas Raiders, I went with Rock Ya-Sin. I spelled his name wrong on the graphic, I know. Don't beat me up over it, but another solid young cornerback, 26 years old. Was a pretty good player in my opinion. I think he got hurt this season though because he stopped playing after week 13. Got an increase in snaps this season though, and he delivered. He was looking like he was going to deliver. Had a better run defense grade. His pressure grade was pretty good, and his coverage grade was 65.8. He's not a bad player, but he's also not the best player, which is means he's got room to grow, which is what I like. I like it when we can sign players that we can continue to develop, and I feel like Rock Ya-Sin is a good player in that idea. Played 61 snaps in the box. I'll have to, let me look up the key here. Okay, never mind. It's not going to show me what the box means, but 552 snaps wide, though, so he's an outside corner, which good contrast to Tyson Campbell, in my opinion. Him and Tyson can be our outside corners while we can get a good quality slot corner, but I gave that a great, if we do sign him, I think that's a great signing. Always need more help in the backfield. I mean, I can't stress this enough. We're in a quarterback with Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, all these other great quarterbacks. We got to have people who can go down the field and pick them off. Jesus. I mean, our division, our quarterbacks are not that good, but we're looking at the playoffs now. I mean, this isn't just the Titans. I mean, this is about postseason. I mean, we lost to Patrick Mahomes because we didn't have good cornerbacks who could get Travis Kelce was always open. So we need covers, and Rocky Sin's pretty good at covering. So, yep, we're going to move on to the Chargers. I love this pick. God, I love this pick. We got Nasir Adderley, 25 years old, 25-year-old safety. He is, in my opinion, incredible. Played 161 snaps in the slot, 191 snaps in the box, 500 snaps at free safety. So he knows how to play. Knows how to play in the slot. Also knows how to play out wide. His coverage grade this season was 68.2. I mean, he didn't have as good as a season as last season. Also played less snaps this season. But he is I've watched some film on him. He's an incredible player. And I think he's going to be a solid option for us to take at free safety or strong safety. He could really play either or. He can play in the slot. He can play out wide. Who knows? He allowed a 69 passer rating when passing against him. So he is really good cover. He's pretty good at covering. So I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league. I got this an amazing pick. If we can pick up Nasir Adderley, this is an amazing pick in my opinion. Someone who's already pretty good but can develop with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I always like taking players from the Chargers because I don't like the Chargers. So yeah, this is a good one. Another amazing pick with the Rams. We got Taylor Rapp. This is my favorite pick out of anyone. The more and more I've looked at this guy, the more and more I want him on the team. 76 defense grade, 82.3 run defense grade, 84.6 tackling grade, 65.6 pressure grade, 72.9 covered grade, 976 snaps. This dude can go. He is an amazing option. And this is his 3 years, $8 million, 15.5 guaranteed. That's a very, very small contract for someone like Taylor Rapp. He plays free safety, so maybe you compare him and Cisco at free safety. That would be deadly in my opinion. That'd be such a good combo. He knows how to play the slot too. 168 snaps in slot corner, 257 in the box, 524 snaps at free safety. I mean, dude knows how to play. He's also kind of, for a 25-year-old, he's pretty experienced in my opinion. He's on that Super Bowl winning team. He's never really had a bad season. One of the most underrated players in the league in my opinion. This would be an amazing pick, or not a pick, amazing pickup for the Jacksonville Jaguars in free agency. This, I cannot stress this enough. It'd be incredible. We got Greg Little from the Miami Dolphins. Greg Little is another interesting one because I don't really. This pick is weird. Plays tackle for Miami. I probably just said that. It's just. I don't even think he's a good player. I just think he's good for depth reasons. I mean, yeah, there's not much to say about him. He's just a depth player. That's it. Moving on to Irv Smith Jr. from the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, he played tight end 2 this season because TJ Hawkinson was the big signing for the big trade from the Minnesota Vikings. Played very solid run blocker, not the best pass blocker, but receiving wise, he was on track for a pretty good season. Until they signed TJ Hawkinson. He had 182 yards and 2 touchdowns as a tight end 2. Didn't get much playing time after week 8, but he did play pretty good and got 14 yards at least in week 18. So pass blocking's pretty hit or miss. He doesn't drop the ball that often. We just need that tight end 2 to 3 who can play really well alongside Evan Ingram. And Irv Smith Jr. I think is a solid option with that. He's 24 years old, very young. I feel like a lot of people don't understand what I say when I say we shouldn't get a tight end round 1. But I think getting a tight end round 1 is a waste of pick, but I do think tight end is a big need for us because Doug Peterson's good with the whole 2 tight end combo. Moving on to the Patriots, Jonathan Jones. Jonathan Jones is in my opinion, one of the better cornerbacks in the league. Looking at the snaps he's played 51 in the slot and 700 out wide. He's a older veteran player who probably the only issue with him, I feel like he'd be the starting corner over Tyson Campbell, which, I mean, if that's what it has to come down to, that's what it has to come down to, because Jonathan Jones is a hell of a player. 78.8 tackle grade, 67.9 coverage grade. Had a great season this year, and he had 4 interceptions this season, so that's pretty good. If we can have someone like him on the team, that would be nice. I get this a great pick. The only reason it's not really an amazing selection is because it might be his age. He's 29, so he'd probably be a short-term contract. So, yeah, not someone we can really build on long-term, in my opinion. I want the Saints. Oh, this is an interesting one. Y'all are gonna bash me for this. David Johnson. Yeah, he's a running back, and I think, again, we need some depth on that running back thing. Snoop Connor's pretty solid, but Saints had no one. Saints did not have anyone that I really wanted. Maybe he could he's not a horrible receiving back either, so maybe he can catch some passes. Not a horrible depth player either, so who knows. He's kind of there, in my opinion. So, David Johnson, it'd be meh. My would be... It'd just be a meh, in my opinion. Like, wouldn't impact me that much, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would not be opposed to having David Johnson on the depth chart. He's 31 years old. He knows his way around the league, knows how to do the job, so he can come in every now and then, get the job done. Moving on to the Giants, got Jalen Smith. This one I like more than I thought I would. He's a solid linebacker. I think Jalen Smith could sit behind Lloyd or even start over Lloyd and kind of show him around. Because Lloyd looks like he is lost on the field, if I'm being honest. Lloyd looks so lost on the football field. So having someone like a veteran who could show him around, teach him a couple stuff. He's 27 years old. He's also been on a couple teams. He's been on Dallas. He went in 3 teams in a year. Just played for the Giants. Put up one of his better seasons. I think he had only 1 sack this season. Yeah, but his tackling was really good, and his run defense was also solid. So having someone who could stop the run, who could also play to show some of the younger guys around, maybe keep him on a 1-year deal just to see how we do. Kind of like how we did with, I don't know if there was anyone we brought on a 1-year deal this season. Did we bring in Arden Key on a 1-year deal? I don't know. We did bring in Arden Key on a 1-year deal than him. But, my opinion, Cleveland Chassian is probably getting cut too. So, that leaves a hole for someone else to come and sit maybe behind Trayvon or even trade some snaps with Trayvon. Who knows? But not a bad option in my opinion. Bryce Huff for the New York Jets. Bryce Huff, again, not a bad player, but didn't get that many snaps this season. Again, someone who could sit behind some of the edge rushers. I believe for the Jets, he's 3rd string. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a 3rd string for the Jets. I don't think he gets much playing time. Yeah, he's 3rd string for the Jets. He can just come in for the Jacksonville Jaguars and be our 3rd to 2nd string if we need it. Moving on to Marcus Epps, another amazing idea. Marcus Epps is definitely another sleeper safety to pick up. He had a great year. 84.4 run defense, 68.5 tackling. His coverage does leave some to be desired, though. Looking at the snaps he took, 118 in the slot, 700 at free. So he could probably... Question is, would I rather him or Rayshawn Jenkins? Right now, I'd say him. I know. A lot of people really like Rayshawn. Not the biggest fan, but I think he's got more experience in the slot too, so he can tackle people a little bit better than Rayshawn can, in my opinion. So, yeah, Marcus Epps, I think this would be an amazing selection for the Jacksonville Jaguars if we take him. His contract is 2 years, or projected contract is 2 years, $6.75 million, $7.5 million guaranteed. It's a cheap and good enough option for safety, and he's really good at guarding the tight ends. Maybe he can even play alongside Cisco, who even knows. Moving on, we got J.C. Hassenauer. I think that's how you say his name. I like this pick simply because our backup safety or center right now is Tyler Shatley, I'm pretty sure. And he's also our backup left guard. What if Ben Bartch and Luke Forner go down? Then we got Darrell Williams, our third stringer, going in at center. J.C. Hassenauer is a solid second string safety, in my opinion. I don't think he's bad at all. He got only 46 snaps this season. I don't know why. In his seasons where he's gotten more than 200 snaps, he's put up some pretty good numbers. 63.3 pass blocking, 68.4 run blocking. He's not a bad player at all, and I think having a second center would be a great option. I think this should be one of the moves we make this offseason, because I think we do need a backup center besides Shatley, because in a scenario where Ben Bartch goes down, Luke Fortner goes down, which position does Shatley play? Do we bring in Darrell Williams for a center? No, I say we get someone like J.C. Hassenauer who can sit behind Luke Fortner, might even be better than Luke Fortner, and then maybe play if he gets hurt or when he gets hurt, whatever. Moving on to the San Francisco 49ers, I went Tyler Kroft. I mean, this was one where there was no one to pick from. There was no one to pick from, so I went with this tight end who isn't that bad. His run blocking is pretty good, 71.2 run blocking grade this season. His pass blocking, also not the worst, 60 pass blocking grade this season. Receiving wise, he got 4 receptions for 57 yards. He's not a good player. He's just there for depth reasons. I don't like him, but every tight end's a free agent, so we need some backups, and he'd be really, really, really cheap. So Tyler Kroft, welcome to the Jags. Justin Coleman for the Seattle Seahawks. Another one where I do not like this pick. He only played 2 games this season, and games where he's played more than 300 snaps. His last season, he only put up a coverage rating of 55.3 and an overall rating of 52.4, which is not that good. He could be a solid backup. This season, he only played 180 snaps. I don't know how he played 180 snaps in only 2 games. What? No way he did. No, he didn't. Okay, then why is it signed? Whatever. I guess it also means in special teams too, he played some snaps. Okay, that makes sense. This season, he played mostly slot corner and kick coverage, so maybe he could play in the slot, another solid slot option, just a backup, really. He's not an ideal player that I want to seek out, though. The Buccaneers went with Sean Murphy-Bunting. This is a great pick, in my opinion. I love this option. Sean Murphy-Bunting is an incredible player. I also hate playing him in Madden. He always picks me off. Really makes me mad. Played 117 snaps at slot corner, 278 snaps at wide corner, so he can really play both those positions if he really wants to. And he's another solid option for a slot cornerback. Could be the perfect counterpiece. In my opinion, is the perfect counterpiece. I like picking him over a lot of the other corners I've talked about. And he might cost a little bit of money, though, but at the end of the day, you gotta do what you gotta do. His coverage rating was 80 this season. I only played 400 snaps, but hey, maybe he'll get a little bit more use with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, yeah, I love this idea. Get Sean Murphy-Bunting. This is actually one of the moves that I think the Jaguars should be doing this free agency. Greg Mabin for the Tennessee Titans. There's not much for the Titans. The next two are kind of underwhelming because there wasn't much to go off of. His cornerback for the Titans. Yeah, he only played 108 snaps this season. He's not a good cornerback, in my opinion. I do think he's a solid backup. He doesn't really play the slot at all. He only plays wide. So, maybe he could sit behind Tyson Campbell. Maybe I think he'd sit behind Darius Williams, too. Maybe even Trey Herndon. Maybe he'd just be the fourth string. Who knows? I think he'd just be there for depth reasons. I went Matt because any corner, really, who's not, really, really bad is a meh. Like, if we get him, I'm not just like, whatever. He could be not ideal. I just felt nice. But maybe he's not ideal because I like taking players from the Titans because we don't like the Titans. And for the Commanders, I went Cam Sims. He's not the best wide receiver, but I think he is solid enough to make the depth chart. Cam Sims, plays mostly wide receiver, he plays mostly out wide. Not really the best slot receiver. He had 89 yards this season. The most yards he's had in the season is 477, which, I mean, maybe we can, as a fourth stringer, if he's putting up 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, that's not the worst thing in the world. So, just meh. I mean, gotta add to that wide receiver room, but I don't think it'd be a good or a great pick. And that's going to do it for this video. Definitely one of the longer videos I've done on the channel because, I mean, there's 31 teams. I tried to briefly go over each player. If I missed some key details about these players, just let me know. And, yeah, like I said, I'm not saying the Jaguars should sign all these players. Everyone that has great to amazing, I think the Jaguars should definitely try to sign them. Anyone with good, I think the Jaguars, yeah, I think it'd be a good idea to get them, but not the end of the world if we don't. And then meh or not ideal, I don't really think the Jags should do anything about it. I think they just leave it how it is. But there are some players on that list who I definitely think the Jags should sign. And that's all the amazing ones, which is Sean Murphy-Bunting, Taylor Rapp, Nasir Adderley, Donovan Wilson, and Marcus Epps. I think those 5 players the Jaguars should look to trying to sign. Even some of the guys like Jesse Bates, Byron Murphy, Jonathan Jones, J.C. Hassanur, some of those players I think the Jags should look to sign. But again, I'm not going to be bawling my eyes out if they don't sign them. But those amazing selections, I think the Jags should take a shot at them because I think they'd be really good. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.